Wow. Oh, and Holden.
Like, this is the only justice I'm getting, is exposing this man and having posted that video and it has gone viral. Like, now he can live with shame and embarrassment if people have seen it and knows who he is or where he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one being punished. He's not getting in trouble with the police. He didn't lose his job if he has one. Like, what's going on with him? Why am I getting fired?
If you guys have ever wondered what it looks like for a woman to completely avoid taking accountability, no matter the extent of it, even if the entire internet is telling her to take accountability because she is at fault for taking the video of this man, showing him nude to the entire internet, here it is. Here is a great example.
Virginia in this game and lay this.
What?
Before we get to the props, we let you guys know that you
Oh
can
my
bets
God.
level up by
I hate this
betting
game.
Pros app. Sportsbook Sync can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game
And then I
picks,
have to get
prop,
bailed
and
out by
parlays.
like, no, the wide open guy.
Outline winning trends and profitable opportunities. Get a 7-day free trial of Betting Pros Premium by using code JUICE, JUICE, and activating your trial on the upgrade screen. Props. I'm going to give you the Hard Rock Bet of the week, and then we'll review everything. So, week 11 props. I'm going to go touchdown heavy this week. We're going to pick on Colorado again. We're going to go West Virginia running back Diore Hubbard to score against Colorado. Again, Colorado's on a quick watch. Arizona put up over 50 points on them last week. I think we can get this one. I did tell you guys about how in that game against Kentucky last season, Jaden Ball scored 5 touchdowns. Let's have him score 1 in this game. Sure, I'm sure they're going to want to tee off on him and make sure that he doesn't beat them single-handedly like he did last year. He can get in the end zone, guys. I'm going to bank on this Missouri run game at home. Ahmad Harney, one of the better running backs. I contemplated the rushing total, but it's still very, very high for him, even after some rougher performances on the road. It's still like 90 and a half. Let's just take the touchdown on this one. Then I have 2 wide receiver ones for you. Jeremiah Smith at Purdue. The dude could do no wrong. Snatched one out of the air like he was Victor Wembanyama last week. Unbelievable. I think he scores again. And Skylar Bell versus Duke has a banged-up secondary. And Skylar Bell is just getting fed. I couldn't find his reception prop anywhere because it's going to be an insane number this week. So let's say that he gets in the end zone this week. As far as yardage and passing touchdowns, we're going to go over a half a passing touchdown for Scotty Fox, quarterback for West Virginia. Again, we're going to continue to pick on Colorado in any way we can. Maryland quarterback Washington over 1.5 passing touchdowns at Rutgers. I think that game is going to be pretty high scoring. The number was a little too high for me to get there, but I do like this prop for my guy Malik Washington. He's been a lot of fun. I know our boy Wormley agrees with us, big Maryland fan. Auburn quarterback Ashton Daniels, we're going to go over half an interception for him at Vanderbilt. I don't think he's very good. I think there's a possibility he gets benched in this game and it will be an fair pick. So maybe they go back to Jackson. I'm going to take Harlem Berry, the running back for LSU, to go over 45.5 rush yards at Alabama. And look, Alabama's run defense hasn't been great this year. And also, I forgot to mention the caveat here. It's rush plus receiving yards because rushing yards and receiving yards were the exact same number. Don't know why that was, but we'll take it. If you're going to give me another out in this bet, I will absolutely take it. So 45.5, but they didn't run a lot last week because they were just getting massacred by A&M. But when they did run, they were running at like 7.9 yards per clip, 6.8 yards per clip between both their running backs here at LSU. So I think Harlem Berry is the primary ball carrier can do this week. And then TCU wide receiver Eric McAllister over 80.5 receiving yards against Iowa State. Iowa State secondary is beat up. We saw them get, kind of embarrassed last week. So I think we are going to easily sail past that one. All right, let's get to the hard rock bet of the week, which is going to be Washington minus 11.5 at Wisconsin. And look, I know Wisconsin's at home. I expect things to get better there. The end of this schedule is brutal for the Badgers, and including this game, they cannot move the ball. This has been just the problem for Wisconsin all year. Washington's going to be able to move the ball, even on the road. The defense for Wisconsin is good, but they're going to go 3 and out. They're going to give Washington short fields. This is not like playing Michigan, right? I was a little ambitious when I took Washington on the road at Michigan. I get it. I lost that game going away. Washington didn't look good. Wisconsin's defense is pretty good. It's not as good as Michigan, and they have nothing on offense this year. And now you're going to have to contend with Devin Williams, Jonah Coleman, and Denzel Boston. Good luck covering 11.5 when you cannot move the ball. It's going to be probably back to Danny O'Neal this week. I don't mind another underplay on Wisconsin, but the juice is still.
I have not seen holding
just picking
in basically any game, and I just got it back to back. Back to back plays. When I would have gotten a first down.
Being fired. I know the fans don't like what he's doing in particular in recruiting because he's not concentrating on the state of Wisconsin.
And then a drop.
Past Wisconsin coaches have, and
Okay.
I don't think he's long for this job. This has been a job rumored for Brian Kelly, but regardless of that, X's and O's, Wisconsin cannot move the football. Washington's going to be able to score at least, I would say, 28 points in this game. I do not know in what world Wisconsin covers. It would have to be probably defensive touchdowns and some crazy big plays or something like that. I mean, anything can happen. It's betting, right? I've been humbled in more ways than one betting, but I love this bet. I think Washington rolls right over the Badgers. We're going to continue to pick on the teams that have paid us out this year. Before I review everything, let me just tell you guys that today's show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, the Hard Rock Bet. This is our last show of the week before Sunday, so if you're looking for more insights on Week 9, you can just check the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub right there in the app. Let me give you some of these. Dallas has won 14 in a row as favorites following a loss. Indianapolis is on a 12-game winning streak as favorites against the AFC. Josh Jacobs has scored a touchdown in 12 straight games against the NFC. Tennessee has gone 11 games without covering the spread at home. Seattle has won 10 in a row as road favorites. You can check all of these and more right there in the Hard Rock Bet app on the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. And look, if you still haven't placed your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, it's not too late. You can place your first $5, and if it wins, you will score $150 in bonus bets on top of your payout. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, reviewing what we have for Week 11. Picks, we are going with Penn State team total, under 16.5. Mississippi State, plus 5.5 first half versus Georgia. Texas A&M at Missouri, over 48.5. Auburn team total, under 19.5. Our Hard Rock Bet of the week is the Washington Huskies, minus 11.5 at Wisconsin. Florida, minus 3.5 at Kentucky. We're going to double down on Ohio State at Purdue, under the team total, 48.5. Under the team total for Purdue of 8.5. Virginia, minus 6.5 versus Wake Forest, and WVU, West Virginia, minus 6 versus Colorado. Props. 5 touchdown calls. Fiore Hubbard versus Colorado, the West Virginia running back. Florida running back Jaden Baugh against Kentucky. Ahmad Hardy, the running back from Missouri, against A&M. Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith at Purdue. And UConn wide receiver Skylar Bell versus Duke. Then our other props, over half a passing touchdown for Scotty Fox, West Virginia quarterback, Maryland quarterback Malik Washington, over 1.5 at Rutgers. Auburn quarterback Ashton Daniels, for now, over half an interception at Vanderbilt. LSU running back Harlan Berry, over 45.5 combined rushing and receiving yards against Alabama. And TCU wide receiver Eric McAllister, over 80.5 receiving yards against a banged-up secondary in Iowa State. That is it for me. You can follow me on the Twitter at Bogman Sports. Good luck. I'll see everybody next week. Take it easy.
We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you're heading to the gym, the office, or just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has your back. So if you haven't tried it yet, head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
Live from New York, it's Fritz congratulating Bruce's Uncle Kenneth. Wow, thank you, Oz. Hall of Fame, Xavier University of New Orleans. For basketball. Athletic Hall of Fame. That's awesome. Runs in the family. Oh, I believe it. Drew was a good athlete. Oh, yeah. Also, commitment to work. Because if I would have gone down to New Orleans on a Thursday,
they're not making it. Let's talk about more than 7 moves I'm personally making in my fantasy football leagues before this next week begins. buys, sells, starts, sits, stashes, and cuts. We got a little bit of something for everybody here. And what I'd like to do today is start off with the cuts and the stashes, but there will be time codes throughout the video for wherever you want to go. Let's start off with the cuts. This segment is hard. I am not going to lie to you. Losing Jaden Daniels in the Flock League was almost my 13th reason. Jaden Daniels, you can probably cut him. How small is your league? If you're out there and you're in an 18 league, 10-team league, probably cut him. If you're in a 12-team league and you have extra bench space, hold on. Let's see what the reports say about how long he'll be out, because he still has a great playoff schedule. He's got the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. So there's definitely some good potential there if he can come back into the playoffs for the fantasy football season. But for me in the Flock League, my entire team is decimated. So I might have to. We only have one IR spot. I have like 5 players injured. I might have to move on from him. And if you're in a similar position, it's going to be tough, but you might have to. For Tucker Kraft, you can move on. It's painful, of course, but he's not coming back this year. There's no doubt about it. Jaden Blue, you can cut. I was very excited to see what he could do in this offense, but this team is just not sold on him. Malik Davis played, and then they decided that they didn't like him so much that they were just going to cut him. So Malik Davis was playing ahead of Jaden Blue, who was inactive, and they just cut Malik Davis. So you can cut Jaden Blue at this point. Samaje Perine, unfortunately, he's got that high ankle sprain. He looked like he was going to be a valuable part of this offense, but high ankle sprain, it's going to be too long to hold on to him. Hassan Haskins is on the IR. Joe Mixon, like we've said all year, if you've been holding on, unless he's a free spot and he costs you nothing, move on from him if you need to use your IR with a different name, because there's no indication that he'll be back. Jaden Higgins, I believed in Jaden Higgins. I really like him as a player. Same thing with Jalen Noel. They're kind of both in the same category. It's funny because the passing attack looked its best in Week 8 without Nico Collins when Jaden Higgins and Noel were featured, but they've decided, nope, we'd rather play Xavier Hutchinson. We'd rather play Christian Kirk. So there's nothing you can do with that. Calvin Ridley, even if this offense was good, not sure if he's the wide receiver 1 anymore. It doesn't matter, honestly, because the offense isn't good. At some point, Ricky Pearsall will be back, and then at some point, Brandon Ayuk will be back. Shoot for other upside names if you can. Cooper Kupp, at this point, after trading for Rashid Shaheed, I just don't see the value. You couldn't really start him before that. I don't see how you're going to start him afterwards. It's just a veteran presence in the locker room. So after you've made those cuts, now you'll have the freedom to pick up some stashes before week number 10 begins.
What?
I know it sounds silly, guys.
What?
Mitchell, you want me to stash him? Well, there's just no clear wide receiver 2 in New York. Outside of Garrett Wilson, you have
What?
Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, who's a rookie, Isaiah Williams, John Mechie, Lazard, Reynolds, Irving Charles. Irving Charles sounds like a made-up name. All right, that just sounds like a my player on 2K that's like the pre-entered name. No disrespect to Irving, he's in the NFL. I'm not. But after the Colts made this trade, sending away Sauce Gardner, getting back A.D. Mitchell, I think the Jets really like A.D. Mitchell. Let's be honest. Second-round pick at some point, really talented guy, has no problem getting open. He's just done a bunch of boneheaded moves after he's caught the ball. So I think this is a great chance for a young 23-year-old player, super talented guy out of Texas, to get another chance. In deep leagues, he's worth the stash. All right, so earlier, remember how we talked about how Jaden Blue is just not that guy for the Cowboys as a backup? Well, Phil Maffa is super interesting because he was placed on IR before the season began. However, they're going to bring him off the IR. He is going to be practicing here very soon. The fact that they cut Malik Davis makes me think he could be back after the bye week, so definitely worth the stash. He is probably going to be the handcuff. After Jaden Blue is healthy scratch, Malik Davis is waived. He's definitely worth looking at, in my humble opinion, because if anything were to happen to Javonte Williams, he would be a playable name, assuming he's the next guy up. Another move you can make to save your season is benching any Commanders running back. And, it's so painful to talk about the Commanders. They're my team. It's a whole thing. It's not fun. Fantasy's been rough. I have JCM in some leagues, believed in him. Look, you just can't start a Commanders running back. You can't. They go up against the Lions. That's the third worst matchup for your fantasy running backs. The Lions this year have given up the 10th fewest rushing yards per game, 8th fewest total yards per game. I mean, they're a difficult defense to go up against. Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, since the breakout game in Week 5 versus the Chargers, where we all thought, wow, what could JCM be in the future? Well, it's been nothing but disappointment. Hasn't, averaged, a high yards per carry. It's been about 3. Hasn't been involved in the air. The offense has been terrible, and the offensive line has been awful. It's stacked boxes. Injuries to the wide receiver room haven't helped. Now Jaden Daniels is gone. It's just, I can't think of a single reason to start either of these names, and it's probably going to be a rotation. I don't think JCM has done enough to really just, merit, no pun intended there, the unquestioned touches in this offense. I think it's going to be more of a rotation than we want it to be. That's a bit disgusting in my opinion. So if you can sit all these guys, I prefer, especially without Jaden Daniels, I'd rather start names like RJ Harvey, Winnie Marks, and Kyle Monangai, even if DeAndre Swift plays, Ken Walker, Rashad White, Travion Henderson, and Aaron Jones. I'd rather plug all those guys into my lineup. Another name that I think you should probably be looking at benching, but only if you have a good team and you have another option, is Chris Olave. Olave plays the Panthers. The Panthers' defense is legit this year. I mean, guys, Bryce Young just threw for like 114 yards, and they won a game last week against the Green Bay Packers. So that Panthers defense is legitimate. 6th worst matchup for your wide receivers. And, 15th against, in passing yards, 13th in total yards. So middle of the pack as a defense, but that's just more because their offense can't keep their defense off the field. Unfortunately, the reason I don't think you can play Chris Olave is because Spencer Rattler is no longer the starter for this team. All right, Spencer Rattler was starting from weeks 1 to weeks 7. Actually, week 8, I apologize. And in that span, Olave was one of the safest receivers in fantasy football. Didn't have a single game under 10 PPR points. And the first day with Tyler Shuck out there throwing the football, he wasn't terrible, but they just never really have the ball to begin with. They're never on the field. They never can sustain drives. The first game, he has 8.7 PPR points and just 4 targets. Sure, you expect the targets to go up, but I just don't trust him. So I'd rather start names like Zay Flowers and Tetairoa McMillan, Wan'Dale Robinson, DK Metcalf, Jordan Addison, Stephon Diggs, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen. I'd rather start any of those names over Chris Olave this particular week. If you don't have a better option, look, I get it. You got to do what you got to do. If you don't know, there's a completely free feature on the Flock Fantasy site called the My Teams feature. All you got to do to access it is use my promo code LAND and create a free account. Then you're going to get expert consensus opinion on your league, rankings, recent trades, etc. If you want to sign up for that, again, completely free. This is just me being a good guy. Then check out the link down below. Okay, I'm going to leave my start of the week to the very end of today's video. What we're going to do next is we're going to go through some buys and some sells, okay? Starting off with the sells. These are the players that I would like to trade away if you're able to, simply because what we're thinking about right now is not about the next couple of weeks. We're thinking about how can I have the best team in the fantasy football playoffs. And all of these players I'm going to talk about today, their schedule is atrocious in the fantasy football playoffs. So why don't we start off with DeAndre Swift. Okay, so DeAndre Swift, since the bye week, was fantastic. He faced Washington, New Orleans, and Baltimore. Well over 18 points per game, has been really good, really effective on the ground, right? 7 yards per carry, 4 yards per carry. Obviously, he missed last week, and we saw Kyle Monangai get involved. Honestly, add Kyle Monangai to this list. I would like to sell both of those guys if I can. Selling Kyle Monangai off the big game against Cincinnati. Everybody's going off against the Bengals, so we shouldn't put too much stock in that. But when you look at the schedule, when it matters the most, DeAndre Swift has one of the worst schedules. He faces Cleveland in Week 15, which is one of the best defenses in the NFL. I know it sounds silly because the Browns are bad, but their defense is elite. Their rushing defense is also elite. They also face the Packers in Week 16. Packers are one of the toughest defenses to run on. So if somehow you get past those 2 terrible matchups in the playoffs, well, then you get the Niners. It's not even like a great matchup. It's a middle-of-the-pack matchup. So if you can sell these Bears running backs, I think now's the time to do it. I also feel the same exact way about every single Denver running back. So that is J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins is not sexy. He'll be harder to sell. I can definitely agree if you feel that way. But even R.J. Harvey, like if you want to sell someone on the idea that he's going to break out second half of the year and he's going to be the guy, and that very well could be the case. But in the fantasy playoffs, even if he becomes the guy, or if Dobbins retains that role, it could be a slip backfield, which would be even worse for these guys. But even if one of them is a clear starter, well, the schedule's awful. Green Bay in Week 1, Jacksonville in Week 2, Kansas City in Week 3 of the fantasy football playoffs, 15, 16, 17. Not a single matchup that you're excited about. not a single matchup that is a plus for the defensive line that you're facing. The Packers' defensive line is no joke. Jags are a great defense against the run. Chiefs, same exact thing. I just do not want to play my Denver Broncos in the playoffs, so be looking for an out if you can with those particular names. Okay, how about we talk about Marvin Harrison? So I think this is the perfect opportunity to sell him. Now, you need to know that he faces Seattle this week. That is not a great matchup. And if you have an opportunity to sell him after the benching of Kyler Murray, which we all love, that's a positive for him. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett is more competent for Marvin Harrison, so that's a positive. We love that. I agree with you if you feel that way. But they play Seattle this week. Their entire secondary is healthy. Seattle's not a good matchup anymore. And then when it matters the most in the playoffs, the Cardinals have terrible matchups. Houston is the worst matchup for your fantasy wide receivers, and that's who they get in round one. So in round one, if you're relying on Marvin Harrison, he's going to be lined up against Derek Stingley. That's a tough matchup. Then he gets the Falcons. Terrible matchup. If you somehow get past those first 2 weeks, then you get the Bengals. That's a great matchup. We would love to be a part of that. But you got to get to the dance. I'm not sure you're going to be dancing with those first 2 weeks you got to overcome. Next name I'd like to move off of, he was someone that we suggested to sit this week. I also feel as if you should probably try and sell Chris Olave. Yes, Tyler Shuck, we've talked about that. I'm not confident in Tyler Shuck rest of the season. I do think Rattler was better for him, but, Shuck's going to be better than he was this week. There's no doubt about that. But again, it's all about the schedule. Even if Shuck is better, even if Rattler was a starter, would you be excited about these matchups? Carolina, which is a legit defense, we talked about that. The Jets, I will say, that is probably going to start to trend more in favor of receivers now that there's no Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams. But, teams might not even need to throw against the Jets, let's be honest. And then you get the Tennessee Titans, who obviously L'Jarius Sneed with that team. So, look, I would be looking to sell him if you have other options. Definitely look at what's available in your league. Okay, we talked about some negatives. Why don't we go to the positives? We're going to just fire through some positive buys because I don't want to just be negative Nancy here. So we talked about some of these this week, but to highlight, Chase Brown, one of the better buys. He's on a bye week this week, so if you can buy him from, it's a lot of buys. If you can buy him from a player who desperately needs someone to start, then it's a good time to do so. In the fantasy playoffs, they get Baltimore, Miami, Arizona. I like those matchups. How about Aaron Jones? Well, when Aaron Jones came into the game last Sunday, he was the dominant running back for this team. Jordan Mason was more of an afterthought, and they say he's healthy, even though he did not practice on Wednesday. He has a great matchup in the fantasy playoffs. Dallas, the Giants, and then, of course, Detroit. We don't like Detroit, but Dallas and New York, that's a beautiful matchup for him. How about Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson? I don't think Stevenson's going to go away when he's back and healthy. He will still be a part of this offense. Not only do they have a great schedule leading up into the playoffs, but even in the fantasy playoffs, they get Buffalo, Baltimore, and the Jets. So some decent matchups there to chase. I like both of those running backs as buys at the current cost. All right, how about wide receivers? Well, Jefferson and Addison are two names that I feel confident going out there and buying. I think we saw enough from J.J. McCarthy to tell us that he's going to be able to sustain this offense. You look at the schedule in the playoffs, they get Dallas in week 15, then the Giants, and then the Lions, who they just beat anyway, and they showed how competent they could be through the air. And that's in Minnesota, by the way, versus Detroit in week 17. So I will go out and buy those guys. I also really like Jalen Waddle as a buy. He's just been so consistent. We've already heard from this team that they have no intentions to bench to a